Okay. Well, thanks for joining us for our very first Alumni Video Chat. Um, Today we have Jade Bolthouse-Babcock. Jade's been a friend of mine since we were both in undergraduate, in our undergraduate years together. So Jade, thanks for being here. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing now.
Right now, I live in Dollar Bay, Michigan, which is up in the Keweenaw near Houghton Hancock area. I am a K-12 art teacher, and I'm also teaching high school Spanish.
Nice. Can you tell me a little bit about what you did when you were at Northern?
When I was at Northern, I knew that I wanted to work with kids. So my first semester, I started out in the child psychology department. And then I realized pretty quickly that that wasn't for me. So I changed over to art ed. I had already been considering that for a while. And I really loved being in the art building. I think at the time it was brand new or just a couple years old, so it was gorgeous and it really drew me in. And so while I was there, I was studying art education with my concentration in ceramics.
Great. And so what really helped you decide what degree to pursue and career path to follow?
When I was in high school, we had a dual enrollment program, and I got my child development associate degree, so my CDA, when I was a senior in high school. And so that kind of solidified that I knew I wanted to work with kids and younger kids, particularly at that time. And then I also had a couple free periods in my senior year where I wasn't doing much, and I loved being in my high school art room. So my high school art teacher invited me to come in and help her with some of the elementary classes, and by the end of that year, I was, helping her with lesson plans and teaching with her, which was really awesome. And then I ended up at Northern after I graduated that year.
Nice. So you graduated with your degree in art education, and you had a concentration in ceramics, right? And while you were at Northern, you were student teaching in South America, correct?
Yeah, I did my student teaching abroad in Ecuador. Just outside of Quito, there's a small town called Cumbaya, and it was at a really nice school there called Colegio Menor. I never had intended to study abroad, and I don't remember really how or why that happened, but something on campus caught my eye, and I think I went to like an interest meeting, and I knew I wanted to do something different, and it just ended up working out, and it was probably one of the best things I've ever done. So I would recommend it to anybody to study abroad, whether you're teaching abroad or just going to a university, at least for a semester. And I was only there for a semester for my student teaching.
Sure. So did you run into any roadblocks, or, what was one of the most difficult things that you ran into when you were a student teaching abroad?
Well, I didn't know Spanish, for one.
That's a problem.
I had taken maybe 2 Spanish classes before I left, and the school that I was at, they teach half in Spanish, half in English, so they set me up with an English teacher because I didn't know what was going on when the teachers were teaching in Spanish, right? So I was with this art teacher who was teaching in Spanish, but I ended up actually learning a lot of Spanish from my host family while I was there. And it ended up helping me in the long run because I also, for the past 5 years up here in Dollar Bay, have taught high school Spanish. So I don't have my degree in it, but they've been writing me an emergency license for the past couple years to go ahead and teach it because they don't have anybody else who's certified, and I'm kind of the most knowledgeable one at the school and able to fit it into my schedule. So it works, and it was helpful.
That's cool. So that was the most difficult thing. What do you think was the most beneficial thing about going?
Just being able to see the world a little bit. I've since gone back and traveled to go see my friends again that I made while I was there, and went to visit the Galapagos Islands. So it's really cool to kind of have those world connections and really to see how education systems in other countries work. It was a really cool thing.
That is very cool. So back here in the States, in Dollar Bay, walk me through, what is a typical work day, work week? What does that look like for you?
Well, I originally started teaching in Milwaukee. So after I got back from my student teaching, I got a job just outside of Milwaukee in a town called Heartland. And I was teaching there, and I was teaching elementary and middle school art. And I was there for 2 years. And then I was really missing the UP. I was kind of getting tired of like the concrete jungle that is Milwaukee. And I was missing Lake Superior and nature. And then I met this guy who's now my husband, and he kind of helped bring me back to the UP. And there actually weren't any openings here when I was looking. I kind of went in and approached a school that I knew didn't have an art program. And they said that they couldn't set me up as a full-time teacher, but they knew of another district who didn't have an art program, but that was also interested in starting one. So I currently am split between 2 districts, teaching art at K-12, and then the high school Spanish was also added in. So I travel between schools every day. In the past, I've had to go to 3 different schools, 4 different classrooms every day. So I'm always on my toes, always moving. But this year, I'm actually just going to be in 2 schools. So
cut it down just a little bit.
Cutting it down for me a little bit, but it's kind of cool because they're adding more art to the point where I can't necessarily do it all in one day. So they've hired another art teacher to do the rest of it that I'm not able to do. So it's cool that the program's growing and expanding.
Right. Yeah. Nice to see that focus on art, but maybe not so nice on your end. And I guess I didn't realize that about when you moved back to the UP, that there wasn't anything open, but you kind of made something open up for yourself.
I definitely nuzzled my way in.
I think that that's really amazing. And, something that I tell students to do with internships a lot of times. So nice to see that happen with an actual employment situation. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think you just have to go in and be confident and tell people like, hey, this is what I have to offer. This is what you need. Let's make this work. And like, it's definitely not ideal that I've been traveling between 3 schools, every day. I'm in 3 different spots, but it was just worth it to be able to be back where I wanted to be and in the UP. So it definitely works.
That's awesome. So you recently graduated with your degree in your master's in educational administration.
I did, yeah, just this past spring.
Yeah, congratulations again. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like going back to get your master's while you were working full time? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I had never envisioned myself going to college for 8 years. I think when I was a freshman, it just seemed too big. Like, oh my gosh, 8 more years of school. Number 1, how am I going to afford this? Number 2, like, I don't have the time for this kind of thing. And I wish I would have realized earlier that it's really not that big of a deal. Like, 8 years is 8 years and you can totally do it. But it took me a while. After I got my undergrad, I was teaching, I think, for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And then I started looking at some administrative programs, and I thought that Northern's would be a really good fit. So I actually got it through there. It was all online. which was really helpful because of my busy work schedule. So in addition to working full time, I also coach JV girls basketball, which is a really big commitment, just practicing games, for 4 months out of the year. And then trying to do my master's classes as well. And I found out pretty quickly I could only take one class at a time during the school year, because the semester where I tried to take 2 plus everything else was just really overwhelming. But during the summers, I had time because I wasn't teaching, so I would double up on my classes then.
Sure. And so is that your ultimate career goal, is to find something in administration?
Yeah. I think it'll be really hard or really difficult decision to leave the classroom, because I love the kids and being with them. But I see a big need in administration that the teachers need support, and I don't think they get enough support and aren't necessarily given the resources that they need. So I'm hoping that someday I can do that, ideally in an elementary setting.
Nice. So you also are an artist, right? A ceramic artist, and you do lots of other amazing things too. Can you talk a little bit about that for any art students who are looking at maybe going into education, or talk a little bit about how it is to be a teacher and an artist at the same time?
Well, for me personally, because I have devoted so much time to coaching and my master's classes in the past couple of years, I haven't done a ton of personal artwork, especially during the school year. When I get home at the end of the day, sometimes I'm like, I just don't want to be anywhere near paint anymore, because I've already got it smeared across my face and my clothes, and I'm up to my elbows in clay every day, So to be away from that sometimes when I get home is just really nice, and I don't necessarily want to be doing those things. But during the summer is when I find more time for that.
Cool. Okay. So last couple of questions here. What do you wish you had known about before you graduated?
Before I graduated, I wish I would have known that it's okay to step outside of your comfort zone, and that you should definitely approach people who you look up to, who inspire you, because I feel like a lot of times, especially for me, I saw these people who are really good at what they do, and I was like, man, I want to be friends with them, but I'm not that good, or I don't know if I can be like them, but if you just approach them, like, they'll inspire you to be better. So find those people, seek out those people who will make you a better person, or better at whatever your career choice is, that will continually inspire you, and cherish those connections and make connections with everybody you can, because you never know when it can come back to maybe help you in the long run.
Cool. I love that answer. All right. So last question. If you could give just one piece of advice to NMU students, specifically upcoming graduates, what would it be?
Piece of advice. Have fun, do your best, step outside your comfort zone. All those artists out there, take advantage of the studio space and studio time that you have, because it's a totally different world once you're done.
Absolutely. Okay. Anything else that I didn't ask you that you want to make sure you tell students, or did we cover everything?
I think we covered everything. But
okay.
If anybody has questions for me about anything, feel free to maybe shoot me an email or something.
Cool. I'll make sure that your maybe some contact information gets out with when we post this video. So we'll put it up on our website. Okay, well, thank you so much for being with me today, Jade, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Good luck, Northern students.
All right, thanks, Jade.